Hey everybody, Mark McNamara of The Value Shift, your content strategist. You know, many people will look at the title of this podcast and say that they have plenty of content sales actually uses. But I want to make an important distinction about the type of content that I'm actually referring to. I'm not talking about content that sales will take and send your customers or prospects, anything that's nurturing or for prospecting purposes. I'm really focused on how to create competency, really learning content or coaching content that's informative and provides direction to sales on how best to conduct their conversations. Now, customer-facing content, that's another subject, and we may talk about that in a future podcast. No, I'm really focused on content that will help sales sell, that increases their competency and provides them technique and coach them in how to handle each situation that they may encounter during their customer conversations. You know, I've been helping sales a long time. I've designed and built classroom study, e-learning, and self-study courses, and I've worked on continuous coaching methods as well. I've also collaborated with marketing to build communication models for customers and providing the content and coaching for sales to use this material effectively. Now, these efforts have been effective relative to the time and place that we created them. And I have to say, in my career journey, this used to be a lot easier to do. We all know things have changed dramatically. We've watched the speed of business increase, and our messages to our customers become so much more complicated. We've seen the modern buyer's journey change the dynamic of how your customers want to interact with you as a company. You know, change has become so rapid that I often observe things that we did just 6 months prior are now subject to obsolescence, sometimes from a messaging perspective, but even now more so from a cultural perspective, and I think it's about to get worse. The millennials are here and growing in the job force. You know, a recent report by the Bureau of Labor Statistics expresses that by the end of 2015, millennials will make up the majority of the workforce. Yeah, that took me by surprise too. Now, don't discount the boomers and the Gen Xers. They're still part of what's happening, and they're moving up as the millennials are coming in and moving up as well. This impacts so much in our approaches to information transfer, training, and communications across the board. Let me be clear. Creating this content is a complex issue and requires specific focus, and in my view, is not the domain of marketing. When you're dealing with sales, it's about sales. Don't get me wrong, marketing does good work, but they have enough to do. They need to remain focused on bringing the buyer to the point of conversation. In my conversations with customers, they are not typically prepared to build this content for sales. However, with the right focus, you can begin a journey that will have you creating content that sales will use and ultimately improve their ongoing performance. So, let me leave you with 4 tips that I think will help you get started. 1, content must be dynamic. You know, this is something that most organizations are missing in regards to internally facing content. We do a lot of work to make our content dynamic for our customers, but what about our own personnel? And think about it, this is even more important given the nature of sales and how salespeople behave. I love salespeople, but they generally have short attention spans, not because it's a personality thing, they're just pressed for time, they're looking for stuff. So to start, content must be situational. And more than just the message, it's the mode. Right? Given the circumstances, what is the best way to communicate this? Is it data? Is it coaching? Is it analysis? Right? Remember, it must be responsive across all devices. Second, you must create content journeys. Salespeople will often search for things or discrete items. And by creating content that suggests other important information, you'll lead them to additional learnings which will be internalized because they will be used at the point of their need. Third, make sure content is fun. Stop pushing documents. Get gamification in there. Content needs to be interactive and entertaining. There's a simple formula out there. Informative times entertaining equals impact. Now think about it. If either side of that equation is 0, it's all for naught. And much effort, in my opinion, is wasted on content that is never used again because it's not entertaining enough. It's hard to do this, but it needs to be internalized. Fourth, and very important, all your content must be credible to sales. Content must be created from a true sales perspective. I don't mean the messaging, but how it's used. Be cognizant of where it's used and what the behaviors are of those using it. Those responsible for this content need to live and breathe the sales process, not just from a theoretical perspective, but what's it like in the field. You can't really help until you've lived it. Throughout my career, I've been most successful when I live and breathe what that team experiences on a day-to-day basis. I'll tell you, it's the small stuff. So there you have it, a couple of quick ideas. If you're interested in learning more about how to create effective sales content, take a moment and go to our website, www.thevalueshift.com, to download our white paper on effective sales content. Also, feel free to email me anytime at mcnamara, that's spelled McNamara, at thevalueshift.com. So thanks for listening. This has been Mark McNamara at The Value Shift, your content strategist.